The Tuvans or Tuvinians are a Turkic ethnic group living in southern Siberia. They are historically known as one of the Uriankhai, from the Mongolian designation. The Tuvans' recent ethnic history is rooted in Mongol, Turkic, and Samoyedic groups of peoples. Tuvans have historically been cattle-herding nomads, tending to the herds of goats, sheep, camels, reindeer, cattle and yaks for the past thousands of years. They have traditionally lived in yurts covered by felt chums covered with birch bark hide that they relocate seasonally as they move to newer pastures. Traditionally, the Tuvans were divided into 9 regions called Koshuin, namely the Toju, Salchik, Oyuna, Kamchik, Karasuit, Shaluk, Nibasi, Darvan and Amchudu, and Bizi. The first 4 were ruled by Uriankhai Mongol princes, while the rest were administered by Borjigan Mongol princes. History. Besides prehistoric rock carvings to be found especially along the Yenisei banks, the first internationally important archaeological findings have been near Arzan, in the north-central Tuva. Here Scythian Kurgan burials are being researched, revealing the earliest and easternmost remains of these people who spread all the way to Europe. The story and fantastic gold treasures can be appreciated in the National Museum in Kizil. The Xiongnu ruled over the area of Tuva prior to 200 AD. At this time a people known to the Chinese as Dingling inhabited the region. The Chinese recorded the existence of a tribe of Dingling origin named Dubo in the Eastern Science. This name is recognized as being associated with the Tuvan people and is the earliest written record of them. The Xiaobei defeated the Xiongnu and they in turn were defeated by the Rouran. From around the end of the 6th century, the Gokturks held dominion over Tuva up until the 8th century when the Uyghurs took over. Tuvans were subjects of the Uyghur Khanate during the 8th and 9th centuries. The Uyghurs established several fortifications within Tuva as a means of subduing the population. There are plans being discussed to restore the remains of one of these fortresses, Porbajan in Lake Dera Khol in the southeast of the country. The memory of Uyghur occupation could still be seen up until the end of the 19th century due to the application of the name Onda Uyghur for the Onda Tuvans living near the Kamchik River in the southwest. Uyghur dominance was broken by the Yeniseian Kyrgyz in 840 AD, who came from the upper reaches of the Yenisei. In 1207, the Oirat Prince Kaduk-Beki led Mongol detachments under Jochi to a tributary of the Karkem River. They encountered the Tuvan Kashdimsbates and Teliks. This was the beginning of Mongol suzerainty over the Tuvans. After the collapse of the Naiman Khanate, Tuvans moved to modern Mongolia and some Naimans moved to modern Kazakhstan territory. Tuvans came to be ruled for most of the 17th century by Khalkha-Mongol leader Sholoi Ubashi's Altan Khan Khanate. It was at this time in 1615 that the first Russians, Vitaminets Sonai Petrov, visited Tuva as emissaries to the Altan Khan. Russian documents from this time record information about different tribal groups that contributed to the composition of modern Tuvans. Timanets and Petrov described the Mads, who became Russian subjects in 1609, living in the Baikal Basin, a 14 days ride from Tomsk. The Mads traveled to the area of the Kamchik next to the lands of the Altan Khan near the Lake Uviznyur. The ambassadors also described the Saiyan raising reindeer with the Tochi from the Saiyan to the Altai mountain ranges. The descendants of the Ak-Saiyan and Kara-Saiyan live mostly around Dera Khol rayon. The state of the Altan Khan disappeared due to constant warring between the Oirats and the Khalkha of Jazatu Khan Amag. The Tuvans became part of the Dzungarian state ruled by the Oirats. The Dzungars ruled over all of the Sayano-Altai Plateau until 1755. It was during this time of Hungarian rule that many tribes and clans broke up, moved around, and intermingled. Groups of Altai and Telengats settled in western Tuva on the Kamchuk and Balik rivers and in the region of Bai-Taiga. Some Todjans, Sians, and Mingats ended up in the Altai. The Manchu King dynasty migrated other Tuvans north across the Sian range and they became known as Beltiers. The languages of the Beltiers and Tuvans still contain common words not found in the language of the other Kharkis. Other Russian documents mention Yenisei, Kyrgyz, Orkaks and Kachagets moving into Tuva from the north. Besides the Turkic tribes mentioned above, there is indication that modern Tuvans are descended also from Mongolic, Samoyedic, and Ketic groups of peoples. Of the extinct southern Samoyed groups, Mata, Koibal, Karmas, and Karagas were assimilated mostly into the eastern Tuvans such as the Todjins, Tofalas, Soyos, and Dukha. The Urgut tribe is also suggested as being from Samoyedic ancestors. The Tuvan name for the Yenisei River may stem from an ancient Samoyedic name. Tribes such as Tumat, Mingat, Mongosh, and Selchuk are recognized as having a Mongolic origin. According to Ilya Zakharov of Moscow's Vavilov Institute of General Genetics, genetic evidence suggests that the modern Tuvan people are the closest genetic relatives to the indigenous peoples of the Americas. The name Uriankhai doesn't seem to exist a clear ethnic delineation for the application of the name Uriankhai. Mongols applied this name to all tribes of forest people. This name has historically been applied to Tuvans. In Mongolia there are peoples also known by this name. A variation of the name Uriankhai was an old name for the Saka. Russian Pavel Nebolzin documented the Uriankhai clan of Volga Kalmyks in the 1850s. Another variant of the name Uriankhai was traditionally used by the Koreans to refer indiscriminately to barbarians that inhabited the lands to the north. There are two groups under the name Uriankhai: Mongol Uriankhai, Uriankhai of mixed Mongol-Turkic origin. All clans of the Mongol Uriankhai, Mongol, and Tuva Uriankhais have both Mongol and Turkic clans. In the beginning of the Mongol Empire, the Mongol Uriankhai were located in central Mongolia, but in the mid-14th century they lived in Liaoyang province of modern China. In 1375, Nagachu, Uriankhai leader of the Mongolia-based northern Yuan dynasty in Liaoyang province, invaded Liaodong with aims of restoring the Mongols to power. Although he continued to hold southern Manchuria, Nagachu finally surrendered to the Ming dynasty in 1387–88 after a successful diplomacy of the latter. After the rebellion of the northern Uriankhai people, they were conquered by Dayan Khan in 1538 and mostly annexed by the northern Kharkha. Batnunk Dayan Khan dissolved Uriankhai Tumen and moved them to Altai Mountains and Kharkha land. Currently, Tuvans form a large majority of the population in Tuva Republic. According to the 2010 Russian census, there was a total of 249,299 Tuvans who resided within Tuva. This represented 82.0% of the total population of the Republic. In addition, Tuvans have a much higher fertility rate than Russians and the other Slavic peoples, while the median age of the Tuvan population is much lower than Russians. This basically ensures that the Tuvan population would continue to grow during the foreseeable future. Geography. There are two major groups of Tuvans in Tuva: Western Tuvans and Tuvans Todjins. The latter ones live in Todjinsky district, Tuva Republic, and constitute about 5% of all Tuvans. A people similar by language to Tuvans live in Oka district of Buryatia, sometimes referred to as Oka Tuvans. Mongolia. A noticeable proportion of Tuvans lives in Mongolia. The Dukha live in Kovsk-Lamag. The largest population of Tuvans in Mongolia are the Zengil Tuvans. Around 1,500 live in Zengil, some of Bayan-Ogiamag. Other Tuvans live in Kovdamag and in Ubsuna Hollow, China. Tuvans in China, who live mostly in the Xinjiang Autonomous Region, are included under the Mongol nationality. Some Tuvans reportedly live at Lake Karnas in the northwestern part of Xinjiang in China, where they are not officially recognized, accounted as a part of the local Oirat Mongol community that is counted under the general label Mongol. Oirat and Tuvan children attend schools in which they use Chakha Mongolian and Chinese, native languages of neither group. Culture. The famous bog tag headdress worn by women seems to have been restricted to married women of very high rank. Also, this headdress worn by the Tuvan women of very high rank in the 13th century. Language. The Tuvan language belongs to the northern Siberian branch of the Turkic language family. 4 dialects are recognized: Central, Western, Southeastern and Northeastern. The written language is based on Cyrillic. A talking dictionary is produced by Living Tongues Institute. Religion. The traditional religion of Tuvans is a type of Tengriism, or Turkic animistic shamanism. The religion is still widely practiced alongside Tibetan Buddhism. Music. A unique form of music exists in Tuva, commonly known as throat singing or as kume. There are various techniques of kume, some giving the effect of multiple tones by emphasizing overtones. Some famous groups from Tuva who feature throat singing are Yatkha, Huin Huutu, Churgulchin and the Alash Ensemble. A documentary called Genghis Blues was made in 1999 about an American blues jazz musician, Paul Pena, who taught himself overtone singing and traveled to Tuva to compete in a throat singing competition. Notable people: Galsan Chinag, Katekanki Martoka, Kun Katu, Sergei Shoigu, Konga Olanda.